Hi, cutie pies. It's Lanikia, and I am coming to you with Four Weddings and a Funeral, Season 1, Episode 10, New Jersey. It is the finale. Now, this was a limited series, so there's no guarantee that it'll have another season or not. I did read that the actor said that they would love to do it, but only if Mindy Kaling was still attached to it would they even consider doing it again. But as you can tell, the way it wrapped up, that this is pretty much they were ending it. I think they had 10 episodes, so I would have liked. It felt rushed. I didn't enjoy the season finale as much because it felt like they just rushed through it all. But um, even though it didn't end the way I don't think I could have ever gotten a perfect ending. But even though it didn't end the way I wanted it to end, I was still no, I didn't like it. I was gonna say I was still okay with it or whatever. I mean, it was okay, but it was so rushed. So we start off and we see that Cash is living his life. It's been like a year or so since Maya broke up with him. We see Fatima and Bash have a baby now. We see Cash's brother is just a little player and everything. And Cash has made it in acting, which he wanted to do. Ainsley, then we see Ainsley, who cannot pick a date for she and Bryce to get married on. And we also see that she's still hung up on this whole Cash thing, which I was like, okay, you gotta let it go at some point. And I don't like the way they made it. Seems like she's just so obsessed with Cash. And I felt like that they were doing that in the last episodes as well, especially now that she has a really great guy. But all of her little comments and everything have to be with how she can stick it to Cash because she's still upset with him for leaving her at the altar. Um, then we see Tony and Andrew have invited people because Tony is going to get his citizenship and everything. So that was a cute little moment. Um, there with Tony becoming a citizen. His family was there. Andrew was there. It was a nice moment. Their friends came to see it as well. So Craig and Zara and Julia and Molly, they're all like this blended family while they go and witness Tony and Andrew and Tony getting his citizenship. They say we're going to watch. Julia watches Molly and the baby for Craig and Zara. So that was a cute little moment. Gemma and Duffy are sleeping together, and so they wake up and they wake up. Oh, Craig is um he doesn't want to leave the kids, so I thought that was cute. It was just a cute little. I'm just saying, like I'm saying it like that because that's exactly how fast it was going. It was like scene, 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 like next people, next people, next people. I was like, oh my gosh, they're moving this too fast. So then we see Then we see Gemma and Duffy are sleeping together, but he gets up every morning and he leaves, but this time they've overslept. So he has to pretend like he's just coming back and everything because she doesn't want Giles to know that she's in this relationship with Duffy, even though they're not calling it a relationship or anything at all right now. They know they have feelings for each other, but they're scared to admit what it is because she's just getting out getting over Quentin. It hasn't been that long since Quentin passed. And I don't like they just okay. So because this show is so rushed, I feel like we didn't see the development really of the whole Duffy and Gemma in the relationship stage. I feel that even with Andrew and Tony, it's just kind of like boom, boom, boom. All these people are together, and I would have liked to see that. Even with Craig and Julia and Molly and Zara, I would have liked to see the beginning stages. They're getting to know each other, the middle stages, because now we just see everything is just all hunky dory. And so that's the only critique. That's the major critique. It was a few other ones, but that's the major one I have, just not being able to do that. So then we see Ainsley and Bryce are going to the wedding, and they're going to the ceremony where Tony is getting, his citizenship. And she receives a letter from Maya, and she says she doesn't read junk mail or something like that. So Bryce says, I know you want me to throw it out like the rest of them. Tony becomes a citizen, and then Ainsley talks to Gemma, and she says, "What's your relationship like with Duffy?" And Gemma's just like, "There, we're just we don't have a title for it." And Ainsley's like, "He's practically living with you. You don't think Giles knows, that his mom is dating?" And she was like, "No, he's so sensitive." And she wants to make sure it's okay, because his dad just recently passed. Well, not that long ago, it's been like a year. And so Andrew asks Duffy about Maya, and so we find out that none of the group has kept up with Maya. But she's running for state and assembly, and she has Marcus actually being one of her writers. So at that point we go over to New York where Maya is. So we see that she's brought Marcus over as one of her writers, and she kind of keeps up with her friends by social media. Social media. So then Marcus tells her about a date that he could set her up with, because he doesn't want her to be like, they've become friends. He doesn't want her being lonely and everything. So he tells her about this guy that he met that he could set her up with. And then after Cash's show, Bash and Fatima tell him that they want to set him up with someone, and they actually bring him. They go on their dates, and they're both miserable on their date. Like, it wasn't the date that was bad. Like, the people that they were with were great people. But Cash and Maya were horrible on the dates because they're not over each other, and everything. So then, Maya finds out. Oh, and Maya looked really pretty on that date. If you look at that scene again, she looked really pretty on that date. So then Maya finds out Ainsley is engaged, and she calls Craig to verify it, and he says, "I'm not supposed to be talking to you," and everything. But he does verify that yes, she is engaged, and the engagement party is coming, and Maya's just like, "I was at her last, I was a bridesmaid at the wedding, and now I don't even get this." And Marcus said what I was thinking. Well, you were sleeping with her ex-fiance. Like, what did you expect? I know you didn't expect to come to her wedding. You know what I mean? Like, what did you expect her to? What did you expect from the relationship? And so Craig just tells her about when the engagement party is, it's the upcoming weekend, and he thinks it would be a good idea if she comes. And she tells Marcus, "I gotta go to London," because she wants to go and try to work things out with Ainsley. So then we see, okay, so it's the engagement party and everything, and Ainsley won't stop talking about Cash, about how she pretty much just wants to stick it to Cash about this wedding and everything. And Bryce is, at this point, you can see he's becoming frustrated with it. And so, but anyway, you can see he's becoming frustrated with it. Jim and Duffy talk, and he has to go home because his mom is sick. She had cancer. The cancer has come back, and she's pretty bad because he said she was making jokes, and she only does that when it's really bad. Ainsley tells Bryce, and Ainsley talks to Bryce, and he tells her that she's obsessed with Cash, and he still feels like she has feelings, or there's something there, and you need to get over that because we can't get married when you're still obsessing over that. And he leaves. So once he leaves, like shortly after, she gets a knock on the door, and she thinks it's him. So she opens the door, and it's Maya standing there, and she has these cards that she's wrote on. And she pretty much tells Ainsley to forgive her, and Ainsley is just not ready. And so she closes the door in Maya's face, and Maya's packing up to leave. And as she's getting in the cab to leave, she looks and she sees that Cash has actually on a poster for his play and everything. So she's happy about that. And then she gets on the plane, and Duffy is there. And so she and Duffy talk, and he just tells her about his mom, and he tells her about Gemma and how Gemma didn't offer to come, but he would have liked her to be there. And she just tells Duffy, "You gotta start going for it because, if you want her, you gotta go for it because life is too short pretty much not to, and, you don't want to be someone who missed out on, a great person." So Duffy's mom is in the hospital, and he calls Gemma. So when he talks to Gemma on the phone, he tells her, he just puts it all out there that he's he wants to be in a serious relationship with her, and he loves her. And Gemma doesn't say anything, and he gets freaked out, and because she's in shock right at that moment, he gets freaked out and he just hangs up. So then Duffy tells his mom about it, and she's just like, listen, if she's the girl for you, she will come back to you, so don't worry about it. So then we see Ainsley goes to Cash, and she goes to Cash because she's like, my fiance thinks I'm hung up on you or everything. And it wasn't that she was hung up on him. She just needed to know, did you break up with me because of Maya? Like, he said, no, you said you didn't know me. And I get sick of hearing this narrative with everyone saying, oh my gosh, she didn't know Cash. She admitted she didn't know Cash. And I'm like, well, if she didn't know Cash, Cash didn't know her either. Like, y'all got to stop. They both were not right for each other. They both should not have been getting married and everything. Um, and so that's what she finds out, that it wasn't because of Maya. It was because they didn't know each other. And then he tells her that Maya chose her because he has not spoken to Maya since, their whole breakup. And she realizes that he really loves Maya. So then we see Gemma and Giles they've made it to the hospital, and Duffy's like, oh my gosh, because he didn't know they were coming. But they made it to the hospital because, like, she is in love with him and she wants to be with him. And so then we see later on that evening that Giles and Gemma, did I say Emma? Gemma are at Duffy's mom's house, his childhood home. And they talk, and Giles starts crying, and he says, I really love Duffy, but I feel like I'm being does that mean I don't love dad as much? You know how children are. And she was like, no, it's okay to love Duffy and, still keep dad. No one's going to replace your dad. Or he wasn't really upset that she was dating Duffy. He was just upset that he was being disloyal to her dad. But when she explained everything to him, he was okay with it. He loves Duffy, and, I like this couple, and I know I've read the comments and a few people don't like them, but I actually like this couple. I just wish they had given them more time to work this, like, this whole scenario out, so it didn't seem like it was just rushing through it. So then we see, let's see, Ainsley and Bryce meet up at a church, and she tells him that she tried to have the best wedding with Cash because she knew deep down that it wasn't right. And with him, she was happy until they started planning this wedding. And she was like, she didn't want to get married. She didn't want a wedding. She just wants to be with him. So they make, she just wants to make vows in a church or whatever, promise to be with each other forever. Then she said something like, it's wrong to have sex in the church. And the priest is like, yeah. I'm like, girl, get out of here. But anyways, so then Gemma and Duffy talk. And Duffy she tells him she wants to get married. And he's like, oh my gosh, who are you dating? Are you with somebody? And she's like, oh my gosh, get some self-esteem. And so, but she tells him, it's you. I want to marry you. Because his mom is sick. And he and his mom had this conversation earlier. She wants his mom to see him married and happy and with a family and everything. Giles could be her, grandchild, because if he and Gemma have children, likely the mom won't live to see that, but she can, know that Duffy has a child with Giles and, a stepchild with Giles. And you know what I mean? So that was that scene, and she wants people who are important to them there now to be able to see everything. So they agreed to get married, and he invites Maya to the wedding, and he tells her, you have to be there. You're the reason why Jim and I even got together, partly. So they they decorate, and it looks a mess, y'all. And so Bryce gives Ainsley okay, so then they're all going to the wedding because it's in New Jersey, because that's where Duffy flew to be with his mom. So everyone that's in London is flying to New Jersey. And so they're going to the wedding and everything. And Bryce gives Ainsley all of Maya's letters to read on the plane. So she reads them all, and they arrive and they help decorate. So it's Zara, Craig, Bryce, and Ainsley decorating. And then Maya comes in, and they're like, "Ooh, God," because, it's awkward, or what they think it's going to be awkward. But Ainsley tells her, you could come and decorate with me. So they start decorating, and then Maya says, okay, let's just talk. So they start talking, and they just forgive each other. Ainsley tells Maya, don't apologize anymore. And she forgives her. She realizes that she really loved her, and she had to really love Cash in order for her to betray her. Ainsley feels like Maya really must love Cash, and it's a special type of love in order for you to betray your best friend. This is so okay. So then they forgive each other, they make up, and they go ahead and go about their day. And then let's see what happens after that. Oh, she tells her about getting with Cash, and she's like, no, it's over or whatever. And then now Ainsley sees Maya's unhappy, so she knows Cash and Maya are both unhappy, and they're really longing for each other, but neither one of them wants to make the move or whatever. So she calls Cash and she tells him he needs to come to New Jersey, and he's like, what? I'm in London. I have, I'm booked the next 10 months. I have plays shows every night and everything. And she was like, you need to get here because Maya's getting married. And then she sends him a picture of Maya and Duffy. And of course that puts Cash into motion. So he dashes off to try to stop this wedding because he wants to be, he want to be with Maya. Y'all know I can't stand Cash and Maya, and I just don't know. The episode felt too rushed, and then okay. So then Cash tries to get on a plane, and he can't get on a plane. They kick a service dog. I don't know what the purpose of that scene was, except to me it was like, okay, one another reason how Cash is selfish. Then he gets in a taxi. He doesn't have the right money for the man, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with him. I'm just so over Cash and Maya, and I'm so over them. Because I know a lot of you guys like Maya and Cash, but for those of us who see them as very selfish, all of the moves leading up to this continue to show how selfish they are, or whatever. Oh my gosh, continue to show how selfish they are. So, anyways, the wedding is going on, and Gemma and Duffy are reading their vows, and here busts in Cash, and then he realizes that Ainsley has lied, and Duffy tells him, sit down, you're ruining, how many weddings are you going to ruin and everything. And so he sits down and he realizes like Ainsley set him up, and then I'm trying to think of what happens next. Plus I'm annoyed by them. Like, if you're not a fan of the whole Maya Cash thing, this was not an enjoyable episode. Like, even though we knew this was how it was going to wrap up, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it. Like, and a lot of people are wanting a season 2. I probably would not, if they even had a season 2, I probably wouldn't watch it because I can't. Like, they want to make the show Maya and Cash, and I'm just not. They were not likable to me. I don't like their characters or whatever, so I can't do it. But so then what happened? Oh, so then they get married, and Gemma calls Duffy Caleb, and Craig did not know that was Caleb, his name, and he was like, "Who's Caleb?" And she said, Zora told him, your best friend's first name, and he did not know. He said, "I thought his name was Craig, and that's why we called him Duffy." Anyways, so then Cash and Maya get together in the end, and they kiss and they make up and they're together. And she likes what he said when thought it was her getting married in the road. I don't know, y'all. I know this review is super short, but like it went by so fast, and it wasn't for me, honestly, because I don't like the Maya Cash thing. So this was not for me, but for those of you who do enjoy it, you probably love the ending and the episode and everything. And so, it was what it was. Enjoy the rest of your day. And that is the end of this series. I hope they don't come back for a season 2, but that's just me. I know a lot of you guys do. So for you, I hope they do. For myself, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm not going to be watching. Bye.